All right, today we're talking about a place that will absolutely blow your mind, the magnificent Ellora Caves in India. It's a place that basically rewrites the rulebook on what you can do with a giant chunk of rock.
So, let me just start by asking you a question. Imagine I gave you a challenge. Build a massive, multi-story temple. But you can't use any bricks, you can't use any mortar, all you have is one single, solid piece of rock. How on earth would you even begin to do that?
Well, the answer is it's completely counterintuitive. You don't build up at all. You carve down. Yeah, you heard that right. You start at the very top of a mountain and you just excavate your way down, literally freeing the temple from the stone that's all around it. It is absolutely wild.
And here's where it gets even crazier. This incredible, almost unbelievable technique. They didn't just use it for one building. Nope, they used it to create an entire complex. We're talking about a whole city of faith, carved straight out of a mountain.
Just how big are we talking? Well, it's not one or two buildings, it's 34. 34 separate monasteries and temples, each one a masterpiece. I mean, just try to wrap your head around that for a second. All of them, carved right next to each other into a 2-kilometer-long wall of solid volcanic rock. The kind of vision, the sheer grit and determination that would take, it's almost impossible to imagine. But look, as incredible as the engineering is, that's really only half the story. The real magic of Ellora, what makes it so special, is the story it tells about culture, about religion, and, well, about getting along. You see, this place was a construction site for a mind-boggling amount of time. We're talking over 600 years of pretty much non-stop work. It started with a series of Buddhist caves, then the Hindu caves started going up, and finally, the Jain caves. And here's the kicker. They overlapped. You had different faiths all building their most sacred spaces right next door to each other at the very same time. So, that brings us to the first big reason why Ellora is considered one of the great masterpieces of human genius. It's not just about how much work it took, it's about the sheer level of artistry and technical skill on display here. And the crown jewel, the absolute showstopper of the whole complex, is Cave 16, the Kailasa Temple. Get this, it is the world's largest monolithic structure, carved from one rock, period. UNESCO basically says it's a technical achievement that has no equal. It's the absolute pinnacle of this kind of architecture. The proportions are perfect, and the detail is just jaw-dropping.
And if you want a perfect example of what I'm talking about, just look at this one sculpture. It shows the demon king Ravana trying to lift Mount Kailasa, which is the home of the god Shiva. The sense of movement, the raw power they managed to capture in solid rock, it's just breathtaking. It's considered one of the greatest sculptures in all of Indian art.
Okay, so we've got this amazing art, this impossible architecture. But the caves are even more than that. When you really start to look closely, you realize you're not just looking at buildings. You're looking at an entire civilization, brought back to life. So, to really get this, there's a word you should know, vihara. A vihara was an ancient Buddhist monastery. But don't just picture a quiet prayer hall. These were bustling communities. They had living quarters, kitchens, little cells for meditation. They were living, breathing places. And because they were these living spaces, the caves are like this incredible time capsule of ancient India. The art, the layouts, they tell us so much about their society, how they lived, and even how their beliefs changed over time. You can see new forms of Buddhism popping up, or different sects of Jainism expressing their ideas. It's literally a history book that's been carved out of a cliff. Which brings us to what might be the most powerful, the most important message of Ellora, and that is its incredible spirit of tolerance.
Yeah, I think this quote from UNESCO just says it all, really. It says, Ellora illustrates the spirit of tolerance, which permitted these three religions to establish their sanctuaries and their communities in a single place. Think about that for a second. This wasn't just a collection of temples. It was a shared, sacred landscape.
And this is what that looks like in the real world. On the one hand, you have three totally distinct faiths: Buddhism, Brahmanism, which we now know as Hinduism, and Jainism, with their own beliefs, their own philosophies. And on the other hand, you have the execution, one single shared space where for centuries they built their holiest sites right next to each other, in peace. It's just amazing. Now obviously, the story doesn't just end there. The caves are still here, and protecting a world treasure like this is a huge ongoing job. You've got modern threats to deal with, water seeping into the rock, the constant pressure of tourism, environmental management. Thankfully, the Archaeological Survey of India is on it, with big conservation plans to make sure this incredible legacy survives for generations to come.
So, when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway? The crucial point is that Ellora isn't just some dusty relic from the past. It's a timeless, powerful lesson in what humans are capable of, not just in creativity, but maybe even more importantly, in living together in harmony.
And that leaves us with one last question to think about. You know, in our world today, which can feel so divided so often, what can we really learn from a civilization that had the vision to literally carve a monument to tolerance into the side of a mountain?
Let's see some real images and videos from Ellora Caves with additional information. Ellora Caves, situated in India, in the state of Maharashtra. Year of inscription, 1983. Ellora was one of the first 4 sites in India to be inscribed on the World Heritage List. UNESCO Criteria. The site is listed under 3 cultural criteria. Criterion, 1. It represents a unique artistic achievement and a masterpiece of human creative genius. Specifically, the Kailasa Temple is noted as an unparalleled technological exploit in rock-cut architecture. Criterion, 3. The site brings to life the civilization of ancient India through its uninterrupted sequence of monuments dating from AD 600 to 1000. Criterion, 6. The caves bear witness to 3 great religions, Buddhism, Hinduism, Brahmanism, and Jainism, and illustrate the spirit of religious tolerance characteristic of ancient India. Current status. Inscribed, active World Heritage Site. The site is a protected monument under the Archaeological Survey of India, ASI, management focus. Current conservation efforts focus on visitor and environmental management, addressing issues like water seepage and rock cracking, and maintaining staffing capacity to ensure its long-term integrity.